Everything seems to be changing so fast these days. The technology advances, the internet, just anything that comes out just seems to spread like wildfire right away. Is there any skill as a private investigator you can pick up that's not going to be outdated 6 months, a year, 2, 3 years from now? Hi, Larry K, ShadowAnyone.com, and the creator of the Investigator's Ultimate Guide series, premium private investigator training from someone who's been there and done that. And when I talk about been there, done that, I've been an investigator since before the internet. And it is very good to learn the fundamentals, the basic ways of doing things. So when you add technology to it, it just enhances your skill, and it's not a crutch. I kind of equated it's like being able to drive a manual, stick shift car. If you can only drive an automatic, that's going to get you by most of the time. But sometimes, and especially maybe in an emergency, you're going to need to drive a stick shift. Now, as far as the way technology is going and moving things, one thing that just really sticks around time and time again is surveillance, because no matter how great the databases are, there's just always going to be this need to go follow someone and actually see what they're doing. Let me give you what may seem like an extreme example, but is right here being used already today, are like tracking devices on vehicles. And I've used them, and they're absolutely great for what they're designed for, to know where the vehicle is. Doesn't tell you where the person is, doesn't tell you who was driving, who else got into the vehicle. It doesn't tell you if they parked the car and left with someone else, but it tells you where the car was. And one of the things that this is great for is, actually that pre-surveillance work. So now you kind of know the routes the person drives, maybe where they go to work and when that is, that type of thing. And it can give you good information for actually doing your surveillance. But going out and doing the surveillance is when you're going to see who climbs into the passenger seat with a person. What he does is when he parks in the parking lot of a hotel, does he just go into the restaurant or does he go up into the rooms? Those are the types of things that surveillance is still very valuable for. And I will tell you, when the new technologies come along, everybody says, oh, this changes everything. Everything's different now. And I will tell you, I believe even when we have the automated cars, completely automatic driving cars, which is a ways away, but much quicker than what we think, there will come a time, probably even in our lifetimes, when people won't be driving cars anymore. And I bet you there's going to be places that you can go to, private closed tracks and roads where you can actually pay to drive a car, something that many of us would love to avoid doing even now. But as the technology changes, even with automatic driving cars, there's still going to be a need for surveillance. That's just not going to change everything. And I'll give you a very, very good example of this. When in 1966, Miranda v. Arizona, and this was a case where a person claimed they didn't understand their rights, their constitutional rights, and that the police took advantage of this. And the courts ruled in Miranda v. Arizona, 1966, that now the police have to inform the person of their rights. And when that happened, you would think, go back and read some of the source documents that are out there, you would think it was the end of the world. You would think everything had changed, that we're no longer going to be able to get confessions, and once you tell someone they have the right to remain silent, only an idiot would keep talking. This changes everything. Well, here we are decades later, and it hasn't changed a thing, has it? The bad guys still talk, they still confess, the good guys can still stay within the limits of the law. And in fact, as departments and even federal agencies like the FBI have developed standards for giving people their rights. So some departments require them to be given in writing, to have the person sign off on them. And there are some clever ways, and maybe I'll cover that sometime, to have someone read their rights and initial off and sign that they understand their rights and still keep the interview going. In my book, 51 Dirty Tricks, I talk about a really good way to do that. But, us as private investigators and citizens and not law enforcement officers, we don't have to worry about Mirandizing people. But I want you to know this was at the time, everybody thought this was a game changer. Everybody thought this would just ruin our abilities to get convictions on bad guys, and it really didn't change a thing. So as technology evolves, knowing the fundamentals, knowing the basics, being able to do surveillance, as an example, is something that's just going to always be a valuable skill. Of course, if you want to learn more about surveillance, go to shadowanyone.com, and there's a whole page there about surveillance training. And I'd love you to look at that and see what I've got there for you, and pick up some stuff. This is Larry K, shadowanyone.com. Remember, do the right thing, even if it's the hard thing.